Cool. This season, Riot has changed how they're doing co-streaming, because last season, if you were part of Riot's partner program or whatever the fuck it's called, you were able to just co-stream League, I guess. Like, you were able to co-stream LCS games is the way to put it, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning literally anyone who was a co-streaming or was a League partnership program partner was able to co-stream it. This season, they completely turned that on its head, and made it so that only certain content creators can, only approved League partner program creators can stream it this season, right? And that number, that those people are like, I think, Doublelift, Sneaky, LS, Dom, and like maybe one or two more people. I can't find the exact list here. I was trying to find it before we like went live.
That's crazy.
Either way, it's a very select amount of people, right? Which is strange, because about half of Riot's viewer numbers do come from co-streams now, which I think they're putting themselves in a weird predicament in general. Having your audience not be on your main broadcast, you know what I mean? It feels like Riot pumps a lot of money into their own broadcast, and having these other streamers be the biggest number of viewers doesn't feel very great for their product, I guess, right? I wonder how that's going to end up shaping out in the next couple of years. Because personally, I do prefer watching co-streams. I don't really enjoy watching casting of like just basic League of Legends. I usually either mute the cast or I'll watch a co-streamer and listen to their perspective, someone like LS, right? But it's weird when Riot's product is now not really Riot's product. It is LS's product or Doublelift's product or whatever, right? And I want to know how this will shape out in the upcoming years. Do these partners have to only say Riot approved things? Like, you assume that if you're Doublelift, you can't just shit on Riot now, right? If you're one of the 5 co-streamers.
Yeah, it's a really interesting position to be in, I guess, in that regard. Yeah, I don't know. I think like from an advertisement perspective, it's probably fine, because you could still count those as like views, you know?
Yeah.
And it's probably easier to count that as like a unique view. Versus like all in the same stream.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's weird that the content belongs to the co-streamers, but also to Riot, obviously, because it's League of Legends.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Have they like come out and said you can only say certain things, or do we know of anything like that?
No, but I think it's one of those things where if people do step over like what they are allowed to say, I think we're going to see like repercussions, right? I could see people's content being silenced because of stuff like this, I guess.
Yeah, it's
so
really
interesting.
Sorry,
I did find the official list. Sorry, it's LS, Doublelift, Sneaky, Medios, I Will Dominate, and Yasuo are the people, and then FlyQuest has a Spanish like language stream because yeah.
So no one else can co-stream?
No one else can co-stream, no.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing, right? Because there's a very select number of people. I would assume that, like, if you have someone like Doublelift shitting on Riot, they would be like, hey, you can't do this, or else we'll make it so you're not one of these select people that can do this now, right? It feels like...
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it feels like a very slippery slope of... I don't want to say that like they are going to like enforce this and make people act in a certain way, but they definitely have the leverage to do it, I guess, is like my main concern, right?
Yeah, I think so as well. And it really becomes an issue once they start shutting down like criticism of their own broadcast, because I think there's something to be said about like, oh, this fucking sucks, like these games are terrible, like if it's like that kind of criticism isn't really helpful. But I don't know, criticizing bugs that happen or like referee decisions that are made or something like that, like is or camera work, like that's good and can be used to like better the product as a whole. And I think that's like, there needs to be a line between, you know, genuine criticism being okay and kind of just like, I don't baseless like slander almost. Because if they start, you know, banning people from co-streaming and it's in both of those scenarios, obviously that's not good.
Yeah, for sure. My other concern is the fact that some of these content creators are signed to teams, Nick. And I think this creates an unfair advantage for teams. For example, Doublelift is a TSM streamer.
Yeah.
Right? And if one of the 5 people through the League Watch Party program is a streamer for TSM, right? I'm not sure. I think Dominate's still a streamer for Cloud9, I want to say.
I think Cloud9.
And obviously Yasuo is a streamer for 100 Thieves. I'm not sure who Meteos and Sneaky are signed to. And I know LS is obviously a SKT, or I guess a T1 streamer, right?
Yeah, T1.
But here's the problem. If Doublelift, the biggest co-streamer out of them all, I think, at least it's Doublelift or LS, right, is bringing in people to TSM's streaming network, doesn't that seem unfair to other LCS teams where, like, what if CLG was able to sign a streamer to co-stream, right? I feel like that would bring in great, like, brand awareness for CLG, right? But it's crazy that it's limited in a very unfair way to allowing certain orgs to get ahead with this, right? Like, I feel like a much better system would be every team has 2 people that they're allowed to, create an application for to become a League Watch Party co-streamer or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like that would be fair if, like, CLG was like, hey, we're going to make I know Pole Belter's a actual. For some reason, I thought Pole Belter. It really does feel like Pole Belter is a streamer for them. But you know what I mean? Like, say CLG's ex streamer, right? Whatever streamer, right? If they want to co-stream a game, why can't they? Like, it feels like LCS teams should be allowed to do this, and it feels very unfair that TSM is allowed to, Cloud9's allowed to, 100 Thieves is allowed to, but not the other 7 or not the other 6 rosters, because FlyQuest also has their own, like, stream. I don't know, maybe that's, like, not that big of an issue, but it feels very unfair for, like, TSM's allowed to utilize their league streamers, content creators, in a different way than other teams in the same league.
I think it's just, as a whole, it's kind of, I mean, I do agree. I think this sort of helps the rich get richer almost. And I think that, like, these systems sort of exist just in, like, LCS in general. But I think, I don't know. I think it's, like, baseline weird that co-streaming is as limited as it currently is anyway. You know, obviously you can't have every single person co-stream because you won't be able to moderate all of that. But it seems weird that, like, it's, and maybe other people haven't applied for it. You know, there's a lot that could be going on behind the scenes. But I think if you have, like, pretty consistent viewership and you're, you know, willing to abide by whatever criteria or rules that Riot sets out, why aren't you able to co-stream? Isn't that just strictly better for Riot?
It feels very much like they want to create a tight network of, like, people they can police. Maybe their advertisers weren't happy that, like, some like league partner program people were, like, maybe covering up advertisements. Like, you can't police every single league partner program creator because there's, like, 100 of them, right? Whereas you can easily police these 6 streams, right? Is my idea. It just feels very strange that these ones were selected, and it seems just based off of, I guess, size, which maybe isn't, like, the weirdest metric to go off of, but it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like a very slippery slope. Like, tons of different games allow co-streaming, but none of them dwarf the actual main broadcast, right? Whereas, like, all these streamers to combine, if all 6 of them are streaming, they will have more viewers than the LCS main stream, which is, I would say, concerning.
I think it's, I think, like, so I think the most direct comparison is obviously Dota, where I personally feel like the casting in Dota is superior because they don't have to necessarily abide by, like, professionalism rules to the extent that I perceive that Riot has to. Or Riot casters do, right? If they, I don't know, if they want to talk on a tangent about something for 20 minutes that's not truly related to the game, as long as it's not interrupting the game, I think it's fine. You know, there are hilarious scenarios that that can't exist in other games because of the type of casting that is there. And then I think, like, they just have more, I guess, interesting casters to me personally. I think, like, ODPixel is probably the best caster of all time across any sport. Like, the dude is godlike. And I think, like, having that and allowing them to just kind of exist and go have fun and talk about whatever the fuck they want to is sort of something that, you know, I see Doublelift and Meteos and Sneaky doing, you know, because I think they're the most entertaining co-streamers, like personally. I love watching I don't watch them live, but I love watching the YouTube videos that they put out. Because I think their commentary is like really laid back, really insightful when it needs to be, but they can also talk about Elise shooting cum shots and like, I don't know, stupid shit like that. Like it's more fun than hearing about how like Tristana is a good tower pusher again. Like I don't know. So I'm curious. I still think it would be more beneficial for Riot as a whole to open up the co-streaming like banner to people, I guess. But like you said, maybe they can't police it enough to feel comfortable with their product being spread out across that far.
Yeah, I mean, that was the old system, right? It was if you were a partnered League partner program person, you could co-stream, right? Which obviously they're narrowing it down to this for whatever reason. We'll have to see, right? Like if next year we see them narrow it down to like 3 streamers, or we see people's content change significantly, then we'll know it's because they're trying to police their content a little more. I think it's like kind of up in the air right now, but I hope that the idea of like someone who's into League of Legends, if it's feasible that they go, hey, Doublelift streams LCS every week, I'm gonna go watch him. And if Doublelift doesn't stream LCS, like co-stream one day, they're not gonna watch LCS, and that's bad for viewership numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And that's sort of what I feel about like most of the I don't know, lack of co-streamers. I think limiting it only hurts the product while expanding it only helps. And I think this is another thing where Riot is not taking a beneficial action because they fear a bad scenario possibly happening.
Yeah.
I'm not really, I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy, but I'm also not the person running the company and in charge of that huge, you know, product.
Yeah, I just hope the league continues to grow. It's definitely starting to stagnate a little bit in North America, whereas like in other regions it's still growing. And I hope maybe this is a system to turn it around. But I don't have high hopes currently, I would say.
I don't either. I personally don't watch a lot of North American LCS. I don't find it as entertaining as other regions and international events. It's kind of like I find it kind of boring just because the top teams always win.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wish there were a little more parity, but I really don't know how Riot can or plans to do that.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about co-streaming. I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting that it's a bigger portion of their viewer base than people actually watching their main broadcast, which they probably pour millions of dollars into. So it's just very interesting. Who knows? Maybe they're gonna like cut down on like their actual main broadcast and turn it into more of a like personality thing. Who knows? We'll have to see where it goes in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.